Hello, welcome back to Horizons Gaming. My name is Ben, and today we're going to continue on with Suzerain 2.0. So last time out, we finalized our trade agreements with Valen and Agnolia, and addressed the Grand National Assembly about our reforms package. So, let's see here. Looks like we've got at least a couple reports and 4 newspapers. So let's go and start with the newspapers. Alright, we've got 2 of them from the Economists here. First step, boosting the economy, Central Bank Reinforcement Acts. The Central Bank Reinforcement Act is poised to bolster the strength and stability of our national currency and the overall economy, with provisions for accumulating foreign exchange reserves, adopting a prudent fiscal policy, and supporting high export potential industries. The Act presents a well-rounded approach to economic resilience. By fostering a stable economic environment, the Act could spur foreign investment and improve our credit rating. As the Grand National Assembly moves forward with this Act, the eyes of investors, both domestic and foreign, will undoubtedly be on Swordland. And health requires more resources. The latest report coming out of the Ministry of Health regarding the current situation and the need for privatization raises serious questions about the gargantuan scale of effort required to solve the structural issues of health in Swordland. One part of the report about the threat of a potential epidemic being real stands out as it highlights the problem of the current voluntary vaccination policy. Minister Bennywool has increased his calls for more financial resources to be able to make changes to welfare within one term to cover existential issues like epidemic prevention. The report on the potential effects of privatization also included the downsides of what damage private interests could do inside the system of healthcare. However, the ministry pointed out that small-scale implementation, the one it proposes, would be able to deliver efficient results. Interesting. I don't know if I want to privatize healthcare at all, but I don't know. We'll figure it out when we get there. Alright. Next up from the Radical, the hidden power of men in uniform. No political leader in Swordland can survive in office without some support from the general staff. President Arthur Vichy was a leader who learned this lesson the hard way. In 1927, a military coup brought an end to a short time as president. Later, President Alfonso became a target of alleged conspiracies by the Old Guard, who were known to be very close to the general staff of the Swedish Armed Forces. Though nowadays fewer officers assume the role of political leaders, military influence continues to have major repercussions in politics across Eastern Marcopa. According to a report by the Alliance of Nations, Swordland has one of the most influential militaries in the region, coming just behind Valen, where the actions of the generals indicate serious military interference in politics. As the reports show, men in uniform still enjoy considerable influence on politics of Swordland, and nothing is being done to reverse the situation despite the country's history of coups and civil war. And I'm really hoping to try and take down the Old Guard will nullify that threat a little bit. But we'll see what happens. Alright, last one is from Geopolitico. Ooh, nice. This one's definitely brand new. Rizia and Rumberg sign economic cooperation deal. Rumberg gains naval base rights. King Romus Taurus of Rizia visited Thornburg to meet with Queen Beatrice Livingston of Rumberg and sign a significant economic cooperation deal. As part of the agreement, Rumberg has been granted naval base rights in Rizia, including Port Drazone, Monkeys, and Kalakabi's Island. I have no idea, that sounds close enough. The deal is expected to strengthen the alliance between the two nations and bolster regional security. The economic cooperation deal also includes provisions for joint investments in infrastructure projects, trade liberalization, and collaboration in research and development, aiming to promote prosperity and stability in the region. In return, Rizia is set to benefit from Rumberg's military expertise in advanced technology, enhancing its defensive capabilities amid rising tensions in Marcopa. The signing ceremony was attended by high-ranking officials and diplomats from both countries, who expressed optimism about the potential benefits of the agreement. Coolio. Alright. Got a whole bunch of reports here, so let's start off in Whole Sword. General Staff gathers. The General Staff is convened at the Ministry of Defense today to assess the security conditions of Swordland. More than 20 high-ranking officers were in attendance and discussed several war plans, the internal stability of the nation, and the overall state of the armed forces. Also from Whole Sword, privatization plan proposal. The Ministry of Health has finished a privatization proposal plan in order to increase the resources of the health system and to increase the quality of services through small-scale market competition. Additionally, the Ministry's report highlighted the weaknesses Swordland has when it comes to a potential epidemic. Minister Bennywool reported that much more could be achieved through the healthcare system if the private sector could slightly assist by generating new revenue streams and adding new services. Alright. From the Republic of Agnolia, Van Horten wins elections. General elections held in Agnolia this week resulted in the victory of the nearest Democratic Union of Agnolia for the second time, with its leader Martin Van Horten continuing his duties as Prime Minister. Alright. And then over to Deer. Governor Braun promises dividing up communities in Berja. Governor Felix Braun has reported increased Bludish Freedom Front support in Bludish-dominated neighborhoods in Deer and in all Berja. To address the issue, the governor has proposed dividing these communities and resettling Sordish and Bludish people to achieve a cultural balance in the special zone. The governor believes this approach will limit the influence of the BFF and reduce the risk of secessionist activities in the region. However, some officials claim that these measures would be directly against the Constitution, and the governor of the special zone does not have the authority to enact such policies. This proposal still has raised concerns among some officials who fear it could be implemented, which should lead to further ethnic tensions and social unrest. Yeah, that sounds pretty sketchy. But it looks like it's time to go meet with Iosef Lancia. I arrived at the cubic building that housed most of the military command that resided in Holsword. The gray and brutalist structure looked daunting. I never liked this building. It always made me feel like I was standing under the concrete foot of a giant getting ready to crush me. It made me feel small, and I never quite got used to the feeling, even after this many years. At the entrance, I was greeted by Iosef and his military entourage of young officers.
Welcome to the Ministry of Defense, Mr. President. Let's go to my office.
We walked from corridor to corridor to reach the office. On the way, we were met with high-ranking officers as well as privates. Every time one of these soldiers saw me, they stopped and saluted. When we finally arrived at Iosef's office, his entourage saluted us and left. He closed the door and took a seat. This must be something serious, especially since you invited me here.
It is important that you don't get misinformed on this matter. Volker has another agenda.
He leaned back and interlocked his hands.
The situation with Rumberg is getting worse, and a lack of funding in the military means that we would fight for survival in a war scenario.
I'll make sure it won't come to that.
Not everything might be up to us, sir. As a result of the recent deal with Phelan, we've started reinforcing the border. Forward scouts have been deployed, and we've started moving our divisions. Rest assured, we are ready for anything that will come across from the other side of the border. We'll be providing our reports to you.
I don't think we'll have any problems, but stay alert. We don't know what we're dealing with yet.
We're always ready for any situation, Mr. President.
Iosef cleared his throat.
Let's move on to our main topic. The mandatory conscription law is becoming a matter of discussion, and we need to strike a decision whether to keep it or remove it. The facts are, conscription gives us a larger service pool and can cover a larger front line. These troops lack the morale and quality to be offensive elements. My argument would be to remove conscription if our military can stand on its own 2 feet without them. If we're going to have strong allies, why do we need conscripts?
A strong knock on the door was heard, and the chief of the armed forces, Vulcan Kruger, walked in quickly with a frown. What is the meaning of this, Iosef? Why have I been invited? What is going on here?
You're overstepping and interrupting personal meeting between me and the President.
Vulcan deliberated the situation. I see what's going on here. I mean no disrespect, but I'm leading the ground operations, and I must be informed of any strategic changes. I mean, he has a point. The military needs to be on the same page on any changes. Thank you, Mr. President. We are talking about our national defense, which must be consulted among all staff.
To clarify, we would have brought the subject up with the general staff and you.
The matter is rather simple from my point of view. We kept to our traditional army doctrine. It is not devoid of disadvantages. However, at the end of the day, Romberg has a large army, air force, and navy. Our conscripts will fill the much-needed weaknesses we have. Throwing bodies at a problem never solved it. Not sure if this is the right approach. Well, we can't have less troops on the front line than the enemy, not with our current structure focused on mass mobilization. I would ask you to consider. We're gonna remove conscription. Remove mandatory conscription. It's time to have a professional force of willingly enlisted soldiers.
Alright, then we can move on. Let me look over my documents to see if there's anything else of concern.
Iosef checked his folder before looking at me.
That's about it. I won't take any more of your time, sir.
Thank you for your time. I left the Ministry of Defense and returned to the Maroon Palace. Cool, alright. Got a lot of friggin' newspapers here. Alright, let's check the country overview first. Alright, military situation. Lack of reservists is red, which I guess makes sense. Alright, let's hit the newspapers first. Alright, I got 2 up from Whole Sword Post here. So first up, fight against BFF continues in Berja. Governor Felix Braun of Berja's Special Zone has used his emergency powers yesterday, enacting the resettlement order aimed at the BFF's threat inside the cities in Berja. The governor's resettlement order sparked controversy and outrage, with many critics claiming it is a violation of human rights and attempt to target the Bluish community. However, we believe that the governor's policy is necessary to combat the Bluish Freedom Front's influence and maintain security in the region. The governor has the legal right to pursue such policies for peace and stability, and his actions should be supported. It is clear that the BFF's propaganda has deeply infiltrated many schools and religious communities in Bluish majority areas, and the government must take immediate action to prevent further radicalization of young people. While some may see the resettlement order as extreme, it is a necessary step to protect the safety and well-being of all citizens in Berja. We urge the judiciary not to listen to BFF propaganda and consider the governor's authority and the urgent need for security measures before making any decisions about striking down their settlement order. I mean, that just sounds like a recipe for disaster, but whatever. I don't know if there's anything we can do about that. But, yeah, anyway. Next up, Boys to Men. Not without conscription. Sound the death knell for one of Swordland's proudest traditions. President Anton Rain has just removed the country's mandatory conscription requirement. We can therefore prepare not only for a smaller army and decreased defensive capabilities, but also for future generations of young men who have no idea how to hold a gun and follow marching orders. This newspaper's male staffers remember their time in the army as one of their most cherished formative experiences. It remains to see how Swordlish boys will develop a sense of national identity and self-determination without it. Cool. That all sounds like a good thing to not have to do, but hey, what do I know? Alright, Lockhaven Times. Talking about the resettlement order again. The recent resettlement order issued by Governor Felix Braun has sparked outrage among the Bluish population as well as the Workers' Party of Bludia. The governor's policy has been condemned as a violation of basic human rights and an attack on the Bluish community. The Bluish people are calling for their civil liberties and human rights to be respected and demanding an end to the governor's policies, which they believe are unfairly targeting them. This policy is only possible in the Special Zone, a concept that many Bluish people want to see abolished. The immense power wielded by the governor in the Special Zone is seen as a threat to the fragile social fabric of Berja. The situation is tense, and the Bluish population, as well as their supporters and political parties, are calling for immediate action to stop the governor's policies. It remains to be seen how this will play out, but many believe that the only way to address the issue is to abolish the Special Zone and strip the governor of his immense powers. I certainly won't argue that too much. Government seems like a total racist knob, and, yeah, it'd be good if he wasn't in power anymore. Anyway, we got 3 up from the Radical here. So first one is Special Zone declares war on Bluish people. In a shocking move, Governor Felix Braun has issued a resettlement order that permits the eviction of Bluish citizens suspected of supporting the BFF and dividing up their communities. This heinous policy is a clear violation of human rights and is a blatant attempt to target the Bluish community. The Workers' Party of Bludia, the Communist Party of Swordland, and the civil rights movements have all condemned this authoritarian policy, which is reminiscent of the worst practices of repressive regimes. It is outrageous that such policies are only possible in Tarkeen Sol's so-called Special Zone, which is nothing more than a tool for the government to exert its power over the Bluish population. Rather than relying on authoritarian policies to address the situation, we urge the government to grant more autonomy to Berja, allowing the region to elect their own local government and make decisions that reflect the needs and desires of the Bluish community. The Special Zone in Berja has given the governor immense powers that can be easily abused, leading to policies that violate human rights and threaten the stability of the region. It is time for the government to take action and abolish the Special Zone, allowing for a more democratic and just system in Berja. The Radical stands with the Bluish community in their fight for justice and equality. And Women March for Equal Education in Anarcha. With the conservative stronghold of Anarcha, protests organized by the Source League of Women bravely called for gender parity in the classroom. Like us, these women hope that President Rain will use his time in office to fix Swordland's notoriously sexist public education system and give young girls the university preparation they sorely need, as opposed to housewife training. A small group of counter-protesters was also present, but drowned out by the cries for equality. Alright, and last up, freedom. Swordish boys no longer forced to fight. One of Swordland's most backward traditions has finally been reversed. As of now, young men are freed from the requirement to join the Swordish army upon coming of age. High school boys are rejoicing in the newfound ability to enter university or the career of their choice upon graduating, while military analysts point out that that present reign's reversal of mandatory conscription will lead to a smaller but more professional army. We're just happy that those many young students who don't align with the government's aims will now no longer be forced to fight for them. Koya. Alright, there's a whole bunch of reports, so let's check these out too. Yeah, looks like we got 5 of them. So first up, Conriat Naval Base update. United Quintana has finished moving its ships to the Conriat Naval Base. As per the terms of the new agreement, the United Quintana military is allowed refuel and repair access to the naval base in exchange for providing logistical, financial, and equipment support to Sortland. And General Staff released a statement. The General made a statement about the danger of the anti-military stance the current government has taken. Press release highlights that the lack of presidential support for the military is a major concern for the stability and defense of the nation. The staff opposed the reduction of the active field army. Okay, from Deer, Governor Braun enacts resettlement order. Governor Felix Braun has issued a resettlement order allowing the eviction of British citizens suspected of supporting the BFF and dividing up their communities. This policy has caused controversy and backlash, with many seeing it as a violation of the Constitution, calling for the judiciary to strike the order down. The order is seen as a violation of human rights and an attempt to target the British community. The governor argues that it is necessary for security reasons and to combat the BFF's influence in the region, claiming that his authority as Governor of Berja gives him the legal right to pursue such policies for peace and stability in the region. The situation remains tense, and it is uncertain how this policy will affect the already fragile social fabric of Berja. Alright, and to ATO. ATO hails nuclear breakthrough, advanced tech promises. The ATO has proudly announced a major nuclear breakthrough that promises not only to revolutionize its military capabilities, but also to greatly enhance its energy sector. The newly developed technology showcases the scientific prowess of the Alliance and reinforces its strategic positioning on the global stage. This state-of-the-art technology combines novel nuclear reactor designs and advanced materials that could potentially make nuclear power safer, more efficient, and more sustainable. For the military, this means the development of compact and powerful reactors for naval vessels, increasing their endurance and operational capabilities. In the energy sector, this nuclear breakthrough could mean a cleaner and more plentiful source of power, helping to meet the escalating global demand for energy and addressing concerns about climate change. The ATO hopes this advancement will usher in a new era of sustainable growth and energy independence for its member nations. That's pretty fantastic. Alright, and then heading back over to Anarcha Women's Rights March. Large group of demonstrators led by representatives from the Swordish League of Women marched in Anarcha, calling for gender equality in Sworland's public education system. Women were also among the counter-protesters who argued for the right to keep educating girls separately from boys in order to preserve Swordish tradition. Cool. Alright. Let's see. Well, let's head back to Holsor for a briefing on the current economic situation. The team gathered in Holsor at the Ministry of Economy to go over the current economic situation. The building was constructed in 1892 by Heron Walt, possibly the most famous architect in Sworland. It was a simple and elegant structure with a few signature domes spread out over the roof. I walked through the large bronze doors. 2 assistants led me upstairs to a meeting room. Everyone stood up as I entered the room, buttoning their suit jackets. "Welcome, Mr. President." "Please take your seats." Everyone took their seats. "As y'all know, today we'll cover our economic status. Now let's begin without any further ado. The aid we received from United Quintana has helped us a lot. Although I heard some rumors, there were many people who opposed this decision, especially the Lothar group. Regardless of what they think, the capital will certainly be handy. We now have another weapon to combat the recession." I had to do whatever it took to end the recession, even if it meant a deal with United Quintana. Sometimes you make sacrifices. I think everyone in this room understands that, Mr. President. How are we doing in terms of our infrastructure? The first few months are positive indicators, but the delay of the infrastructure project reversed economic gains. Mikhail frowned and put his fingers on his chin. Why couldn't we solve the L1 high-speed rail construction issues? The National Business Council isn't happy with the lack of tangible economic improvements at all. Let's see. Let's go with this one. I certainly expected better performance from all of us. Our first investment plan was meant to be a good step in the overall plan. Yep, said plan wrong, whatever. Yeah, surely there's still a way to finish where we've begun.
From my perspective, we need a bigger cash injection into the economy. Yeah, David, how do you have the stats to deal with agnolia?
Our trade deal with agnolia has increased our imports and exports by 25% in 1 month, with much more to be expected in the future. But higher prices of agnolia and steel didn't result in a trade surplus.
It's pretty good, but we should look for more trade partners. We can make much more and increase our presence in the region.
I agree. Not just the region, we should target for more deals internationally. We should see our improved relations with agnolia as a stepping stone to expand positive influence.
I support all foreign initiatives with partners as democratic as agnolia.
That's kind of beside the point. Edith didn't reply, but she smiled.
Let's hear the stats on our deal with Valen.
Our trade deal with Valen has increased our imports and exports by 60% in 1 month, which is a considerably good number.
This was a dangerous gamble. I'm glad it's starting paying off.
The payoff is high, yes, but so is the risk. Our support for their military operation was questionable. Regardless, the numbers are clear.
I must say, I still can't get behind a trade deal with Valen, especially when involved in military cooperation. I feel like we've made a contract with the devil.
Yeah, I mean, we're reaping the benefits. We'll come out on top here.
I'm not only worried about Valen, it's the other countries too.
Increased trade has improved our economy. I see this as a reason for celebration. On a side note, consumer spending has decreased further due to a pessimistic mood caused by economic issues.
I'm confident we'll turn this mood around with adaptive projects and solutions.
Good to hear. We will do better. Well, I agree that our first attempts are not successful. We still might have economic opportunities left.
It isn't good for our reputation. The people expect quick solutions. We're running out of time.
The Grand Central Bank has begun working on a bill for Grand National Assembly to increase our preparedness for future damaging economic incidents.
And the NBC will also lend support to the analysis of contingency plans regarding the ongoing developments.
I am looking forward to further collaboration between our departments to solve upcoming issues.
Simon checked his large dossier.
Sadly, our budget reserves don't look good. We'll need to look into whatever we can to increase the budget we have.
Cool, well, what can we do about it?
I'll formulate a plan and present you with the next steps. As per the latest data from the Ministry, the recession unfortunately seems to be lingering still in some economic areas. No matter the cost, we'll have to increase our economic development rates. Otherwise, I'm sad to say that we will be doomed. We need to use the opportunities we've been given. Trade deals and infrastructure improvements always help. Mr. President, I'll be very clear.
Simon took off his glasses, put them on the table. He looked me straight in the eye.
You already know this, and I don't want to frighten you, but if we are unable to stop this recession, we're heading towards an economic catastrophe that has never been seen before in Swordman. No, in all of Eastern Maricopa. I can't even begin to imagine how we can survive that. None of us wants to see Sword's people starve while the state is unable to provide for its citizens.
Don't worry, we'll end the recession, I promise.
I hope you're right.
He put on his glasses.
Now, there are a few methods we can use to tackle the recession. Our debt situation is awfully bad, and I heavily advise against further expenditures. However, I will still present new projects and leave the decision to you, Mr. President. There are two main distinctions between these projects. It's either about continuing our infrastructure improvements or investing in increasing production. If we continue working on infrastructure, that would lift us up to advanced country levels. However, our industrial production also needs to boost to return to pre-recession levels. There is, of course, the option to not take any risks related to our budget. The plan for these projects will be finalized soon. For now, I can provide preliminary information. Which would you like to hear first?
What are the projects that could improve our infrastructure?
For infrastructure, we have two projects. One is the Benfey International Airport, and the other is the Mortar Port.
Benfey is growing at a rapid pace and will benefit highly from your national airport. Much more money will be made there, too. Yeah, the Mortar Port will boost trade and improve the flow of goods towards Holsword, because the Conrad Port is too small capacity and extension is blocked by the Navy headquarters.
Economic growth in Benfey could be propelled, but still has yet reached full potential.
Benfey is rapidly developing, and that has much to gain from increasing its connectivity to the world.
Imagine all the tourists that would arrive.
We must focus on improving the well-being of our citizens, while Morna is no poor city and very well deserves investment.
Well, what are some projects that could boost our production?
For our production, we have two projects. One is the Sarna Agriculture Zone, and the other is the Conrad Industrial City.
Yeah, I see starting agricultural as an investment is a higher priority due to the fact that farmers and birch were the most hit by recession. Sarna is also a much poorer city than Conrad.
The Conrad Industrial City project has the potential to increase manufacturing and create a Holster region by a large amount. Yeah, Sarna is a much poorer city indeed, and deserves any investment it can get from the government.
The recession has hit the farmers of Sarna particularly hard. Besides, the agricultural output increase would boost our economy.
The investment there won't be able to recover the industry there. Conrad, on the other hand, would bring more financial gain. Our government has the opportunity to support agriculture, and we should take it, and increase our exports too. I think I've got enough information.
Yeah, very well. That covers our subjects for today.
Let's go that one. Anybody want to add anything? Nobody answered.
Well, that concludes the meeting. Have a good day, all.
Goodbye. Until next time, Mr. President.
See you soon. The meeting ended. Nice event available. What is that? I don't know. Interesting. Okay. Unless maybe that's just this? No. Interesting. I wonder what this event is. There's nothing to click over here that I can see. Huh. Interesting. Alright. Well, whatever. I'm not going to worry about that too much at the moment. Because there's nothing else. We have a ton of reports to read again. So, yeah, we'll kind of start the reports this time. Alright, from Conrad. United Cantonan ships show support to Volkswagen fleet. Several of the United Cantonan destroyers stationed in the joint Conrad naval base have left the port of Conrad in the morning to join the Volkswagen fleet, which is patrolling around Helluland. Cool. Alright, from Lockhaven, L1 Railway Construction Update. The Source State Corporation has reported that the construction of the L1 Railway has been officially delayed for a year. The managers of the project apologized in public statement, taking the blame on themselves. From Suzerain, polio cases discovered in rural Suzerain. Reports from our border cities indicated that the polio outbreak in Valen has been moving towards Sordland. Specifically, there has been a sharp increase in cases in rural Suzerain and nearby villages. Health professionals have been dispatched to curb the infections by quarantining the patients. There are currently 23 active cases in Sordland. Alright, from the Republic of Agnolia. Prime Minister Van Horten warns about Volkswagen presence. Prime Minister Van Horten warned us about the increasing naval presence of Volkswagen in the Markian Sea. He showed his wishes to have a stronger naval cooperation with Sordland in the future. Alright, from Urzurin. Protests against Governor Braun's resettlement order. A massive protest erupted in Urzurin against Governor Braun's latest resettlement policies. The order gives the governor the authority to evict Bludish citizens suspected of supporting the BFF and divide up their communities within the special zone. The protest was largely peaceful, but tensions rose and Burgess security forces arrived to disperse the crowd, leading to some clashes. The governor's controversial policy has sparked widespread anger among Bludish communities and human rights groups who have called for the order to be repealed. The situation in Bergen remains volatile, and it is recommended that the government engage in dialogue with all parties to diffuse tensions and find a peaceful resolution to the crisis. Fantastic. Alright, also from Dear, Erzin v. Swordland case. A landmark court filing has been appealed by the Court of Appeals today and is under review by the Minister of Justice. The lawyer and British civil rights activist Ishval Ersten sued Governor Felix Braun for the infringement of the constitutional rights to equality before the law. The case questions the separate legal treatment of the British and Deer, and by extension the whole of Berja. Ishval Ersten argues that Governor Braun's policies, including the controversial resettlement policy, infringes upon the right of property of the British citizens. He claims Articles 6 and 7 of the Constitution, as well as the institution of the Special Zone, are in direct conflict with the Constitution, and thus allows a separate treatment of the British in all of Berja and beyond. Cool. That looks like all those. Check out the newspapers, because we got 9 of them, apparently. Alright, so there's 3 of them here from the Whole Sword Post. First up, Ishval Ersten versus Governor Braun and the Swedish Constitution. The lawsuit filed by Ishval Ersten, a British civil rights activist, against Governor Felix Braun is causing concern around the country. Mr. Ersten's argument that the special zone in the governor's policies infringe upon the rights of British citizens is unfounded and ignores the need for security and stability in the region. Mr. Ersten even calls articles of the Constitution that gives everyone rights as racist, openly attacking the source Constitution with purely political motivations. Governor Braun's policies, including the resettlement order, have been recently put in place to combat the influence of the BFF and maintain peace in the region. The British citizens suspected of supporting the BFF have been given ample opportunity to prove their loyalty to the state. Those who refuse to do so have been rightfully evicted from their communities. The courts will undoubtedly see the reason in Governor Braun's policies and reject Ishval Ersten's lawsuit. The special zone is created to ensure the security and prosperity of the region, and the government will not allow it to be dismantled by those who seek to undermine the state's authority. That is some messed up nonsense there, but I'd expect nothing else from the Whole Sword Post. Alright, next up, Housewives March to Defend Sword's Tradition in Anarcha. As the Sword's League of Women spearheaded a march for so-called education equality in Anarcha, a group of self-proclaimed happy housewives led a counter-protest. The argument is that pulling girls out of handicrafts classes and forcing them into science classes alongside boys would be an affront to Sword's tradition, and that co-ed restrooms in schools would be the next logical step. But we at the Whole Sword Post hope President Rain will make the same decision and not fall into the trap of pursuing unnecessary changes in the classrooms. That is also some more messed up stuff. Nice. And last up here, Valen border reinforcements announced. As Valen begins Operation Bear Trap against BFF targets, the Maroon Palace has reiterated the commitment to defending our Valen border against any threats and announced new reinforcements to the border. The Palace announced that the Sword's armed forces are working in close cooperation with the Vasic armed forces. As part of the mobilization order, General Vulcan has made comments, saying Sword's armed forces, as always, stand vigilant against any threats inside and outside of our borders. We will not allow any terrorists to waltz into Swordland. The extent of the border reinforcement was not disclosed as of yet. Alright, and from The Economist, Swordfish State Corporation delays railway construction. As expected, Swordfish State Corporation failed to meet their deadlines and announced a delay to the much-expected L1 railway project. We are unsure why the president decided to pick a company other than Underhaul Construction for a task of this scale. There is now a lot of uncertainty around the finish date of the project and whether it will be completed during the first term of President Rain. However, at least one thing is certain. Picking Swordfish State Corporation's main contractor was a recipe for disaster. Cool. I don't really care what you have to say. Let's see here. Next up from Lockhaven Times, Central Bank Bill, necessary measure. The Central Bank Reinforcement Act, currently under consideration, could be a key measure in fortifying Swordland's national currency and overall economy. With focus on bolstering foreign exchange reserves, fiscal prudence, and support for high export potential industries, the bill offers a holistic response to economic challenges. This comprehensive approach ensures that our economy is well equipped to navigate fluctuations in the global market. As Swordland stands on the brink of potential economic change, this act may provide the support needed to steer our course confidently. Yeah, I have no idea. We'll look at it when it comes up. Alright, 2 papers here from the Radical. Ishval Ersten is right. Ishval Ersten, a lawyer and British civil rights activist, has filed a lawsuit against Governor Felix Braun for infringing upon the constitutional rights of equality before the law. Urson argues that the special zone at Governor Braun's policies, including the controversial resettlement order, infringe upon the rights of property of the British citizens and violate the rights of citizens of Swordland. The case has been appealed to the Court of Appeals and is currently under review by the Minister of Justice. Urson claims Articles 6 and 7 of the Constitution are in direct conflict with the institution of the special zone and Governor Braun's policies, which allow for the separate treatment of the British citizens in all of Bergen and beyond. If the courts decide to agree with Ishval Urson's arguments, the case would open the way to amend Articles 6 and 7 of the Constitution, which, in a country like Swordland, seems extremely unlikely. The Constitution protects the individual rights on paper, but those who uphold and enforce the law pay little attention to such legalities. It gets even worse when justified legal cases like these are made and appealed to the courts. The general outcome is always surprisingly unjust. Unfortunately, nobody expects this case to even reach the Supreme Court. And Rain closed his door to refugees from Valen. The bloodthirsty dictator Viktor Smolak has begun his operation against the British Supreme Front in northern Valen. The operation's name, Operation Bear Trap. The Maroon Palace gave its support to the operation and stated that the Swordlish Border Guard will be in close contact with the Vasegar armed forces to stop any fleeing militants. Although this act might seem justifiable at first, Viktor Smolak's track record is apparent. He has been accused and condemned by the international community for many war crimes against innocent British people before. Smolak has already ordered the bombings on civilian schools and hospitals, calling them breeding grounds for terrorists. President Rain's response to close our borders to prevent any stragglers from coming into Swordland is troubling. For he is forgetting something. Not all stragglers from this war will be armed militants. Cool, alright. And last up we have two more here from Politico. So Operation Bear Trap begins. President Smolak has declared the start of Operation Bear Trap against a separatist militant group that plagues northern Valen, the British Freedom Front. Rumberg, Agnolia, and Lesbia have condemned the mobilization order, citing war crimes committed during the previous assault against the British people. Swordland has not made any comments on the matter. The Watchtower of Human Rights said they will be following the developments closely for any infractions on human rights violations. Alright, and finally, last up here, amid spiking tensions with Agnolia, Volkson increases naval presence. The reports from Eastern Marcopa show two Volksanian aircraft carriers patrolling the Marking Sea around the Helioland Island, a massive show of naval force amid spiking tensions with Agnolia. Stalport could interpret it as a provocation in the region, say experts on the region. Sudden and simultaneous appearance of the two carriers, accompanied by Navy cruisers, destroyers, and aircraft, comes as Volkson escalates criticism of Agnolia's increasing control over Helioland and its increasing forays around the island. Coolio, alright. Let's see here. So, we've got investment in mega projects, meeting on escalating tensions in Berja, and whatever that event was, if I can figure out how to find that again. But, for the moment though, it feels like as good a place as any to call for today. So, as always, thank you very much for watching, and hope to see you all next time.